Welcome back to the 2017 Canadian Outdoor Singles Championships. I'm Jake Shuknik, joined again by Mr. Bob Strong. How you doing, Bob?
Great, thanks.
Feature match today, we have Mike McNorton from Ontario against Jerome Kirby from Manitoba. Mike is rolling some green bowls while Jerome has the classic black. It looks like Mike is just sailing through there on his second bowl. Mike's got the mat up quite a pace there as Jerome's delivering his second bowl. And that's a great bowl there from Jerome.
Very nice adjustment.
Even got a toucher out of it. Mike's sporting the new tech polo that we were selling this year at the majors. I had him ask if we could send him one, so I shipped it back with Daryl Fitzgerald after the majors were done to give to him back in Kitchener-Waterloo area.
Jerome is leaving in a week's time to compete in the national mixed pairs.
He's playing with Elaine Jones in that, representing Manitoba.
Elaine is one of the umpires in this competition.
And Mike is just on the outside there as he squeaks around behind. So a relatively wide open draw here still for Jerome to see if he can score two on this opening end. Could be in the neighborhood.
It's got possibilities, that's right.
A little bit short, but it might be in the count. Mike was quick to concede two there, I believe. Make it 2-0 for Jerome. Jerome is placing the mat exactly on the tee, as far back as possible.
Little longer than 3/4.
And if you can hear the wind in the background, it is starting to really pick up here.
It could be quite tricky too, because on this green there seems to be headwind, tailwind, which means a big difference.
And they're playing into the wind right now, I believe.
Right, yes.
Naturally, as soon as I say that, the wind dies down altogether.
I think Murphy predicted that, didn't he?
That's a pretty good opening ball there from Mike, but he's coming up a little bit short. Jerome is relatively similar to Mike's first bowl.
I've had a number of players commenting that the greens are running very nicely.
The greens have been running nice all week. Probably around that 13-second mark, give or take. Nice ball there from Mikey to sneak inside.
Looks like he's probably lying too, because his front bowl is level with Jerome's bowl.
Jerome's coming up well narrow there. He was maybe looking for the jack on his way through. just around Jerome's in there for another one.
Mm-hmm.
One bowl left each. Holden 2.
3, she signaled.
Did she signal 3?
Yep.
Okay. And this could be close.
That's through by quite a long way. Oh, it didn't affect the count at all.
Thought he might have grabbed the jack on his way through there.
Mhm.
Just a little too wide for that weight.
You'd think Mike should have a good idea of the weight on this one. He's drawn 4 beautiful bowls.
That's good shooting there from Mr. McNorton.
It's a pretty good response after giving up 2 on the first and coming back with a 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what you want to do when you give up a few, to come back and not let it last more than an end, more than it needs to.
Right. Oh, they're only signaled 3.
Well, even still, 3 is a pretty good response.
Oh, it certainly is.
So although Mike's originally from Kitchener, Ontario, he recently had to relocate to San Jose, California, as the company he works for got bought out by Google. So he moved down to California in, I think, February or March sometime earlier this year. Plays out of Palo Alto Bowls Club there, as well as the San Jose Bowls Club. He's using the Taylor Ace size 3, while Jerome's using Henselite Classic Deluxe.
And he's playing a 6 or a 7.
That's right, yeah, Jerome has larger bowls. So Mike has a little bit of international experience. He played in Tiger Bowls in 2015 and also Blackpool, England for the International Open earlier this year. So he's been outside of Canada to compete in some events.
Was that as a junior or as
no, that was for Tiger Bowls. I believe that was, I'm not sure if that was a PBA entry or not, but the Blackpool, England International Open was definitely part of the PBA.
Mm-hmm.
Professional Bowlers Association.
Jerome sneaked in for shot.
So Mikey's been playing for 14 years. His grandma brought him in back in the day and kept with it thanks to the junior program in Ontario. I remember playing against Mike quite a bit growing up as a junior. Hard to believe that Mike's actually older than I am here. He's got a bit of a younger looking face, makes people think that he's younger than he actually is. I believe he's 27, 28, somewhere around there.
He looks like a teenager.
Yeah, exactly. I have pictures of him back when he was a teenager, and he looks almost identical.
Well, Jerome is lying too.
Haven't seen these bowls for a while, but the ones that Mike's using on the logo, it's not sure if it's Decepticons or Autobots, but it's one of the Transformers, if you're familiar with the Transformers movies. Could be close if he has enough. Not sure. Maybe. Might be enough for 3.
I think Jerome's been bowling for about 7 or 8 years. He's retired from the military.
Yeah, he's been bowling for 7 years, and yeah, he was in the Navy Air Force. His nephew's Owen Kirby, who just won the junior championships about a month ago in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So that was in fact 3 for Jerome. Make it now 5-3.
Looks like it's a race to 20.
I was gonna say, this is a high-scoring affair. Can't remember what the game was earlier this morning, but we were looking over at one of the scoreboards, and 2 of the guys had scored 12 points in 3 ends, or 4 ends, so they were just flying through the score.
I think somebody said one of the scores ran up to 30 to zip.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah. I think that headwind might have fooled Michael on that one.
Yeah, maybe. Wind is picking up here again. Jerome's putting a couple of good ones in here.
The only thing worse than playing in a strong head tailwind is playing in a gusty wind when you can't count on the wind.
Yeah, that makes it really tough when you don't know when the wind's going to show up or not show up. Big thanks to Marla. You can see her in the background there taking pictures. She's been taking pictures all week here and posting them to the Bulls Manitoba Facebook page, which we've been sharing around.
She's the mother of one of the competitors, Rob Law. Well, that's a pretty good cluster there. Yeah, certainly, Michael has some stoppers in there.
Jerome strung a couple of good bowls together here. Make Michael learn them. Mike's throwing a little bit of weight at this, I think. Maybe not.
Oh, he went right through.
Just through the port.
He's given up at least 3.
Yeah, 3 exactly. That'll make it 8-3 after 4. Big thanks to John Bjornson and Phil Clark and the whole organizing committee for putting in a whole lot of hours to make this event work. As well, the umpires and all the other volunteers. Been doing a fantastic job.
I think you have to pay tribute to the greenskeeper too, who has delivered greens in outstanding playing condition.
Yep, big thanks to Trevor and any other greenskeepers that have been helping him. The greens here have been great all week, and I'm sure they will stay great for the rest of the week. Mike's coming up about 3 feet short there. I guess Jerome saw how short Mike was and opted to overcompensate here as he's throwing his second ball into the ditch.
Michael didn't add quite enough.
Not quite enough, and he did another 2 feet. This looks like it's coming down in a hurry. Chip jack on his way through. Still, I think, only belonging 1. I believe Mike's last ball is second shot. See if Mike added enough to get into the count here, and he's crashing on a short ball. Jerome still holds 1. Jerome liked that coming out of his hand. I'm not entirely sure why, because that's shot itself. Great ball there.
Yeah, I think if Jerome didn't add to the count there, Michael might have been tempted to take a crack at his best bowl. Because if he's able to move it onto Jerome's best ball, he would end up lying 3 or 4.
I still might be tempted to take a crack at that anyway, because he might be able to get the double, and if get the jack and squirt it out of bounds to reset it at the tee. But I don't think Mike's doing any of that. He's just looking to go around. And he's in the ballpark too. Redirection onto the jack to lie for 1.
Very good result, eh?
Fortuitous result, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make it 8-4 to keep him in this set.
Big 3-point swing on the last shot.
Yeah, was it ever.
Instead of being down 10-3, he's up down 8-4.
May not sound like much, but that does make a pretty big difference.
Oh yeah.
decent opening bowl there from Mike.
Well, Jerome read the green fairly well, but looks to be about 8 feet through.
It's kind of funny that Jerome was on the TV match earlier in the week, but we were playing the other direction, so he'll have knowledge of the end rink going both ways.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes end rinks have wonky lines, but that doesn't seem to be the problem here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the end rinks are actually playing really well. This is a great shot from Jerome. This is actually probably the best rink here.
Mm-hmm.
Playing this way here, number 1. Mike wants to know if the Jerome's ball is actually resting on the jack. She's saying there's a bit of separation. Not entirely sure what she was saying there.
I don't think she understood the question. Oh.
I'm not sure if that's what he was aiming for, but he almost got a nice little sideways kick.
He was looking for the little tap onto the jack, it looked like, and he didn't miss by much, but he sure had a lot of weight. I think if he had caught the outside of that bowl, it would have probably gone to Jerome's second best bowl.
Yeah, I think so. He would have had to get his onto Jerome's bowl square without any jack movement to count.
Well, if I were a betting man, I'd say that Jerome was probably going to try to come around behind the jack.
I would probably agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
don't imagine he's going to be playing too much into that.
Well, he did. He just drew a foot behind the jack.
Well, that's a really good place to be.
Yeah.
This makes things tough here for Mike. I'm not sure what you're going to do about that. You can't really afford to give up 1. I guess you could. This is only the 6th end, but you don't want to make yourself down more than you need to be. And Mike doesn't like the stall.
No, I think he's...
Right, outside the line, and he knew it. Jerome's not even going to bother to go fast ball. Just pick up the mat and say enough of this. I'll take the 1 and run.
I actually thought he might play that, because if he just touched his bowl, he was good for 2 and maybe 3.
Yeah, I probably would have played the non-ditch side coming down this way and tried to push Mike out or touch his. There's a lot of options there that I'm surprised he didn't go after.
Well, discretion and valor and all that stuff, right?
So that'll make it 9-4 now for Jerome over Mike after 6 ends played. So we got 3 more to go. Jerome's bringing the mat up here a bit, which is interesting because last time he had the mat back here going the other way, he placed it exactly on the tee. So now he's brought it up a few paces. I'm wondering if that has something to do with the wind factor.
Boy, he's still playing full length.
Yep, so
except for the couple of meters at the far end.
I know some people do like to play that strategy. If you put the jack on the tee, then you... I wouldn't say you eliminate the whole respot aspect, but you don't have to worry about it as much, as all of your balls should be relatively close to the tee, regardless. Appears to be a pretty decent draw on both hands, as Jerome's ball is trying to make its way back there, just a little wide.
Some people call that the pro side miss.
I've heard that called the professional side quite a bit if you're a little wide. Do you know why that is?
Well, yeah, because the amateur side miss is crossing the jack, and when you're crossing the jack, you're moving away from the jack. When you're on the other side, you're working your way towards the jack, and I think that's generally the reasoning. Seems to be some confusion about the mat placement for some reason or another.
Not entirely sure what that was about. At first I thought they were just telling a joke, but I didn't see Mike smiling or anything, so I'm not sure if that was cause for concern or not.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And just a little too quick there.
Yeah.
He just slides into the ditch. There's not a whole lot of carpentry help here.
No.
The greens are fairly level, so you can draw the ditch, but the ditch board isn't going to hold you up. Mike's added some weight here, and he's just around to draw a shot, I think.
Nope.
Maybe not. Mark is having a good look at this, saying it's a measure. From our angle, it actually does look like Jerome might be lying one.
Yeah. Markers are inclined, though, to err on the side of caution, because the last thing you want to do is give bad information.
Yep, that's true. I'm sure a lot of markers are saying things are a measure rather than favoring one or the other. That way you're not necessarily giving wrong information. Jerome's just throwing another bull in the ditch here, so pretty big opportunity here for Mike McNorton to capitalize on Jerome only having one bull on the green thus far. Jerome's taking a real good look at this to try to see if he can identify who shot, so I guess it must be closer than it appears from here.
It doesn't look at all close from this angle, but it's very deceptive.
Not the greatest end from either of these players, as Mike's other two bowls are coming up short and Jerome's other two are in the ditch. So aside from those two that are near the jack, it's not the greatest end these two have put together. I would fully expect Jerome to try to draw it down and draw a closer shot here. I wouldn't expect anything too drastic. I don't know if he has the legs. Just getting there. Wow. Great shot.
That shot.
That is definitely shot. Do you think Mike's just going to try to draw that off, or do you think he'll throw some weight into that?
I can't see him throwing weight, because he'd be he'd be fortunate to remove one of the bowls. The only thing he'd be looking at, I guess, is a carom off one of the bowls and moving the... Yeah, he is throwing weight.
I can see a double there if he can get both of Jerome's, so he'll be lying 3 for sure.
Out of bounds.
Unfortunately, he killed the jack and missed the bowls altogether, but...
Oh, and he left the spot for 2.
I don't think this measure is going to come down to a matter of millimeters, as they're trying to put it on the tee and it won't quite sit there.
Yeah, problem is that the jack won't rest where they put it.
But
Michael says pick it up.
Yeah, conceding two, so don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that should make it 11-4 after 7.
After 7.
So 2 ends to go, 7-point match. Jerome almost has this set in hand, not quite.
At the majors, there was a game between two highly competitive teams, and one team was 6 up. Playing the final end, they gave up a 7 to lose.
That was actually game number 1.
Was it?
That was the men's triples between Nova Scotia and I think it was either BC. I think it was BC and Nova Scotia.
Right.
Men's triples. Yeah. So earlier on in that game, Nova Scotia had a healthy lead and they dropped a 7, and so foolish me said that's probably the high scoring end we'll see. I don't think we'll see that again. And then later on they picked up a 7 to win the match on the last end, which was quite the finish.
Not something you see very often at the Nationals.
No. It was a 23-22 final, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's a very high scoring affair, given that there were 2 7s in that game. Things kind of averaged out though, because BC took a 7, Nova Scotia took a 7, and it was a 1-point game after the dust settled. So I mean, that kind of worked out okay.
Sure, they were a wash.
Jerome was trying to play a long jack and threw in the ditch. Mike brought the mat up a little bit and threw a very short jack. So this is a much shorter end. Both these players are struggling to find the perfect weight.
Still quite a strong wind, headwind, tailwind.
Mm-hmm. It is a little gusty in the sense that it's not necessarily a consistent wind all the time.
No.
Looks like Mike could be lying 1, maybe 2 at the moment before Jerome's bowl comes down. He's inside.
Michael might try the backhand trail on this one for a max count.
You are correct. He is trying to play the backhand here. Just around Jerome's last bowl, and Jerome's asking who his shot. So
Jerome's lying shot. Sure wouldn't look that way from this angle.
No, it does not. But I guess the players can see it better than we can, as they're more direct, straight on. We're on a bit of an angle. If Jerome's bowl is shot, I'm not sure which one it is. That might be a second.
It could be. It's close to being second shot. I think the bowl at 2:30 was second shot, because the one at 12:15 is really quite a distance from the jack.
Mm-hmm. Mike has the last bowl of the end here, so I wouldn't be surprised if he looks to either draw that off or maybe trail it a couple inches to secure a higher count. He definitely needs to count at least 3 here.
Actually, if he trailed that right, he could score 4.
That would get him back, give him a chance in this set. Playing with a little bit of gusto there.
No, he's much too wide.
So Jerome's taking one out and is going to get down to measure. I'm happy to see how quick he is with doing that. It's a pet peeve of mine when people waste time humming and hawing about it. But he just went straight down to the measure and said, I'm not even going to ask or look, we're just going to go straight down to it. And that was one for Jerome to make it 12-4 and put that first set out of reach. So this is now a practice end. You can try some things they haven't done before, whether it's drives or test the boundary marks or draw the ditch, whatever you feel like doing. Or you might just try to keep your plus-minus better. Still try to score as much as you can.
I think Michael, if he had the jack, might experiment with something to see if he could gain an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Would you believe it if I told you that Mike's first job was washing gerbils?
I have no reason to disbelieve you, but it's quite an odd occupation.
Yeah, no, his first job was actually washing dishes.
Okay.
His mom's friend got him a job without even getting an interview. Just said, come on over, wash some dishes, and you're hired. But no, Gary Pickering is a good friend of Mike.
Okay.
Gary plays out at the Heritage Club now as well, so when he saw that I had player profiles at the social night on opening night, he said, oh, give me Mike's, I want to write some fun details about him. So he put down his occupation as a gerbil washer, which I thought was kind of funny. But no, that's not Mike's occupation. He's actually an IT guy, works at a tech company down in California.
I was wondering how he could get a job out of San Diego or wherever as a gerbil washer. He'd have a hard time getting papers, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if he'd be able to get a work visa for that. Gary had a lot of amusing facts about that. He put Mike's favorite holiday spot is Chernobyl and stuff like that. So none of that stuff's true, obviously. We're just poking fun at Mike.
Well, and I suspect he's got a good sense of humor. He can take it in stride.
Yeah, he does have a great sense of humor. That's a beautiful ball there from Jerome.
I guess he's serving notice he's not done.
Yeah, no kidding. He's not letting up here. So I think Mike's testing with different kind of weights here to see what happens when you throw a little bit of just through weight, nothing ridiculous, but enough to reach the ditch. Mike's having a second guess here. Might be waiting for someone to move, or maybe the wind to die down. I'm not sure which. Standing back there, he's talking to Jerome. I'm not sure what. Maybe he's saying, you know, should I warn the marker that I'm throwing weight or what? I'm not sure. I wonder if he was asking Jerome if that's actually on the tee, because that might have dissuaded him from throwing weight if it's just going to go right back to the tee anyway. That's a great effort there from Mike.
You might say that.
Just on the other side.
It looks like he signaled 2.
Yeah, and Jerome's not going to argue too much.
Nope.
It's 14-4. to win the first set. So now we'll restart.
Do they toss for first bowl on the first end, or the first game I should say, and the winning player can either choose the mat or defer?
Yeah, so to start the game, before anything's been done, they toss a coin and the winner gets the choice of either the mat or the hammer. But after that, the winner of the first set is supposed to start the next.
Oh,
end,
okay.
which is why Jerome started this end here, because he won the first set.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little mix-up last game, as game we televised earlier. The winner of the last end decided to go first, even though he didn't win the set. Neither player really complained or said anything about it, so I guess it wasn't a huge issue either way. But
I just noticed in one of the matches yesterday or the day before that the player who did not score in the first, did not score on the last end of the first game, took the mat for the second game. So that surprised me.
Yeah. So it's all about who wins the set rather than who wins the last end. I think, anyway. You'd have to double check the conditions of play about that. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. That's how it's been whenever I've played sets anyway, so I would imagine that it's still the same.
Mm-hmm. Michael threw a nice bowl there, but he's about a foot and a half behind the jack. Jerome seems to be locked and loaded.
Yeah, he's really figured out the screen here now. Mike's going to throw some weight here. Interesting that Mike stays low when he's throwing weight. A lot of players sort of stand up straighter when they're throwing weight to get more power behind it. But Mike still gets low. Looks almost like he's throwing a draw still.
I think the people who stay too upright, though, don't get a good release at the grass level. You see some of them bounce the ball as a result of staying up. Oh my goodness.
Mike's going to come down and take a look at this. Which is probably a good idea, because Jerome is just killing it right now.
Actually, if Michael can drive, if that last ball's not the shot ball, is not the toucher, which I think it is, if he were to drive it onto the ditch, into the ditch, no, I think Jerome would still would have, oh no, if it stays in the ditch, in bounds, Michael could have two back balls. He's certainly got the one on the right, and he's got one directly behind Jerome's cluster.
Yeah, it all depends on how he's going to hit this, if he does in fact drive it. He could very easily decide to try to draw it off. I think he is. Playing a little bit of nice control there. Just
He crossed over.
So I believe that'll be 3 for Jerome. Mike's using the old fingers, saying, yep, rack him up.
Michael looked like he was caught between on that shot. He knew he had to tighten up his line a little bit, and he was going to play ditch weight, and he tightened it up too much and didn't make contact.
Also didn't quite play ditch weight either as he kept his bowl alive, so sort of that in between. So it's a 3-0 start here for Jerome to start the second set.
Well, let's see whether Michael has a response in his pocket like he did last game.
Looking next door, I believe that Leo Dieselblom actually won the first set.
He is up a set
over Russell.
Against Mary Wright.
Oh yeah. Wow.
He's over Dakota now.
Okay.
Okay,
He's up a set, she won the first set.
Excellent.
So the ladies are playing over at Dakota, and Marie is up a set over Mary Wright right now. That update brought to you by Malky Taylor.
What's that?
That update was brought to you by Malky Taylor.
He's over here at Martin, isn't he?
I'm not sure where the younger Taylor is.
I see him now, he's with Malcolm in the green shirt on room 3.
Oh, yep.
I just wanted to tell him that.
So Mike's first bowl is behind the bank. Jerome's
And
second
Jerome
bowl
is going to
go
be in the ditch as well.
Yeah. This is a pretty close to a full length end here, as the mat's pretty close to the tee and the jack's a little bit in front of the tee. So both these players are really struggling to find their weight when playing the max length. Mike's coming up well short on this one. Jerome's currently lying 1, although I wouldn't be too happy with that one.
No, if that remains shot, it's a fairly sorry end.
Jerome did a double take there to see if this was his third bowl, if he was allowed to chase it down. So I guess he must like it, and for good reason. That'll be number 1. Good bowl there, but 3 feet or so past the jack.
Lovely hot sun beating down on our backs here.
Mike's upped some weight here. I'm not sure if he added enough.
Yep, shot bowl.
Just enough. Numero uno. Everyone I've talked to here has told me that Jerome likes to play a lot of weight. The first game that we streamed of him, he was against Russell, and I don't think he threw a single drive, so I'm curious to see if he'll throw any weight here this game. He could easily pick Mike's bowl there and lie for 3.
I don't know that about Jerome. Jerome and I played 4s at the Nationals. I don't know that he threw a half a dozen drives in 9 games. So certainly there are other bowlers. I've seen the bowler from BC in the men's side here. I think he'd rather drive than draw.
Definitely up weight, but not a super aggressive drive, just enough to hop into the ditch.
Well, there was no downside
Yeah, no, absolutely.
on that drive.
You pick Mike and stay, you're sitting 3. You pick him and you go out, you're still sitting 2. Lots of chances there, but big chance here for Mike to try to draw in and score
Get a deuce.
a double. Wind's getting nice and blustery here. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Windy Peg. Mike's coming up well short on this. I don't think that's going to be enough.
Nope.
So that'll be, I believe, just the 1 for Mike to make it 3-1 after 2. I believe Mike is actually wearing Asics shoes. They're a lawn bowling shoe that I saw quite frequently over in Australia. I'm not sure if that's where he got them from or not, but very unique bottom sole as it's blue and white, checkered. Check and see if that jack is in play or not. Looks like it's
Jerome signaled it was in.
just inside that. And that's definitely close to being a short jack. It's 2 paces up. I think they're okay with it.
Get a chance. Say that Norwood club has had a flux of joining club. They're looking for sets of 0 or 0 bowls used at a reasonable price. If anyone knows of any, then let us know. Sure. Mind you that?
Sure. Okay.
You gotta do it in your best sales voice.
Gonna have a nice little sales pitch here coming up here.
Yeah, have we got a deal for you? John Bjornsson just stopped by and said if anybody has 0 or 00 bowls, there are a number of new bowlers at Norwood Club, and they would like to acquire some of those bowls at a reasonable cost. So if you know of anyone, get in touch with the Norwood Bowls Club.
You know, I don't think this club is alone in that. A lot of clubs are looking for 0s and 00s, as the new bowlers tend to start off with a smaller bowl. I've heard of many clubs that are looking for the smaller sizes rather than the large sizes. Mike's asking what the count is here, and he is in fact holding 1. I think he's a little inside there.
Yep.
Not bad weight, but I don't think that's enough to stay in the count.
He's still sitting 1. Jerome's just a little hot.
Mike's playing a touch on the high side. I'm wondering if he's looking to just draw another. Yeah, drew shot itself. It's a good bowl, but also kind of a risky bowl, as now that makes things a little more appealing for Jerome to play into that. And if he chips the jack back, Jerome's got 2 waiting there, maybe even that third one.
Yep.
I bet Mike probably wishes that bowl would have been maybe a little further back behind, maybe another foot. Then it's still in the count, but it's also starting to cover Jerome's 2 bowls. And he's close. Just coming up a bit short.
Yeah, I think he may not have entered the count with that one.
Quite surprised he didn't play a little more aggressively into that, since he had it set up
a
behind.
meter on could have given him a big count.
Yeah, jack or bowl, he could
Sure.
make some damage, but instead he gave up 2 to Mike to tie things up at 3. I guess he must be pretty confident with his draw weight if he thought he could just draw that off. And confidence is a big part of this game too. Sometimes you don't necessarily play the high percentage shot if you're feeling super confident doing one thing or the other. I know I've seen this many times before where the lead will sort of shut down the skiff about what shot to play because they're feeling confident on their backhand or their forehand or whatever.
Sure. Well, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're almost certainly right.
Yep. So Mike's coming up a bit narrow here on his first bowl. About a foot short or so, I think. think I might have to start charging people rent for using the scaffolding back there. I saw Elaine Jones was rushing up against it for a couple seconds, and Mike's been leaning up against it every other end. $5 to lean against it, please.
Well, it's a gusty tailwind right now. It's not a crosswind. Some of the greens are benefiting from the trees, but this green in particular is exposed.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the flags behind there. As the Canada flag is right behind rink number 2, and it is just blowing away, but then you look down at rink 6, the Saskatchewan flag isn't even moving at all. Just because the trees are blocking the wind.
Jerome doesn't lack for confidence. He's a very steady bowler.
He definitely put on a show when we watched him play against Russell. He was playing forehand, backhand, both ways, didn't matter. He figured the green out and was just playing lights out.
Jerome and Elaine Jones are heavily involved in a winter league at Gateway Community Center, which is an indoor soccer pitch, which plays like a very nice, it plays the same kind of draw as an outdoor grass green.
Huh.
And they've organized a league which is open to bowlers, and they treat it as a developmental league, so they don't allow top bowlers to bowl together.
Yep.
And they bowl in the mornings, and in the afternoons there's an open draw, and they typically have between 20 and 30 bowlers Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Developing bowlers is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and I'm glad to see that they're not letting top bowlers play together to clean clocks of people. So that's good. That's a good way to make sure that bowlers are actually developing appropriately and actually have a chance. You're looking next door there. Russell just threw a drive and just grazed the jack on his way through to roll it over maybe 3 inches.
I think Michael may have drawn second shot on his last bowl. This looks very promising.
Oh, this looks like a beautiful bowl.
Oh no, took the others out of the count though. It's 1.
2.
Oh, he's
3.
3. Wow. Okay.
Shocking.
Well, that could get out of hand if Michael doesn't rally a bit.
Well, the last time that Jerome took a 3 at the start of the game, Michael responded by grabbing a 2, or maybe it was the other way around. Jerome got a 2 and Mike got a 3.
Six 3 after 4 ends.
Leo's up 6-0 over Russell next door after 4 ends in their second set, which Leo won the first set as well.
I think that's 2 ends over, 2 greens over. You've got Leo and...
Yeah, Leo and Russell next door.
Oh.
Yeah. Leo's up 6-0 now, I guess. I might have misspoke and said the wrong score maybe, but Leo won the first set and is winning 6-0 in the second set.
Leo is another very, very steady bowler. He bowls a lot all winter in Arizona.
Yep. I was talking to him during the opening ceremonies, and he said he's really hoping that Arizona can host the U.S. Open in 2019 for a couple of years. I think that would be just great if they can make that happen. I've always wanted to play in that event, so fingers crossed I can make my way down there.
Mm-hmm. Jerome found the ditch. Now it's kind of deceptive again. Although Michael's bowl looks like it should be shot, it may well be second shot.
So Michael's playing the non-ditch hand to see if he can draw just around Jerome's.
Jerome has pulled the string on this one. No, actually, weight was not bad. It's just
tight.
It seems that once you reach the center line, it just takes off going right.
Yep. I think it probably does that in both directions, actually. Once you reach that center line, it really tends to all downhill from there. Mike's chasing this one down. And he picked Jerome.
Oh, that's right. He's...
what a shot.
Well done.
Lying
He's
there.
lying 2, yeah.
I think he's lying 3 there, actually. I see 3
Oh,
green
is
ones.
he?
But I'm sure Jerome will have a thing or two to say about it with this bull here. He's chasing this one down. Oh, this could be close. Just
Nope,
coming up a
he's
bit
short. Goodness, well that would certainly be interesting if Michael could pull out a 4 here.
Yeah, he just needs to draw down there. He can afford to be a little heavier.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of damage if he trails the jack a bit or crashes into one of his own.
Yeah, there's no downside.
Nope, no, he doesn't need to be perfect with this by any means. Just needs to be in the ballpark. That looks a little quick to me. Looks a little spicy. Good thing he found a friend, but that's what I said, that he could find a friend and it'd be okay.
So what's the most like
So they've kicked out 2 already. We'll see if
I haven't done anything.
Mike can round up a few more here. Jerome's getting down there to measure.
I'll get at it as soon as the draw is over.
I think that was 3. 2, 3, 4. That's a full handful. A miss. So that gives Mike the lead for the first time in this set, I believe. With 5 ends completed, there's 4 ends to go, so now we've got a real dogfight here to the finish. Just as I expected, Mike's playing a bit of a shorter jack here. Jerome liked to stretch things out a bit, and Mike's got the mat up a pace.
Looks like
medium length, give or take.
looks like Michael might have found his mojo though.
Tides can turn very quickly in this game. All you need is one good end to get you going, and you can be off to the races. I find it so interesting how the first 3 greens here have quite a bit of wind to deal with, but then the last 3 greens, the flags behind them are just completely standing still. Don't quite have the same wind effect with the shrubbery coverage.
Yet I suspect by the wind at this end, I'm sure the wind is coming into play at this end.
At this end of the rink, yeah.
Jerome drew shot.
Yep. That's what, maybe a foot short?
About that.
Not phasing Mike at all, as he's still going to stick to that hand. He's through the port. It's interesting here on this rink going this way, as in the morning when we play the opposite direction on this outside rink, one hand has a real swoop and the other hand is relatively straight. But I don't think that's the case on this green here. I think both hands are very playable. Both hands have a decent draw both ways.
Yeah, I think the only issue is, again, playing away from the sideboards. Once you cross the center line,
yeah,
there's a big swoop.
Just have to make sure you're on the professional side then, I guess.
That's right. Well, Michael was awful close to the trail on that last one. He may just make an adjustment here and that looks like a shot ball. I suspect Jerome will play into his front balls.
I guess Jerome might have had some pebbles in his shoe or something, maybe a little bit of sand. Interesting spot to dump the shoe out, though.
That's right.
Now, if his bowl stops right there, I'm calling that he had something in his shoe there to stop it.
You don't suggest for a moment that any bowler would stoop to unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, I don't suggest that he's going to be walking around with pebbles in his shoes on purpose either.
No, that's right.
There either.
That was a fine clutch shot by Michael.
It was. It was. And that'll take this back to Jerome.
Could even have two.
Mike's looking at this.
Yeah.
I think he can afford to be a little aggressive into this once more.
Yeah, he actually could afford to play it right to the ditch.
I was thinking just a few feet through, but yeah, you could definitely play it right back to the ditch if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Having back bowls goes a long way. That's one thing that I've talked about with many commentators and people before, how beneficial it is to have back bowls, because then now you've got options. Like right now, Mike could do a whole lot of different things thanks to having all of his bowls jack high or further.
Mm.
Don't think he liked this at all.
Well,
definitely
I think Jerome will put it in his pocket.
He's asking the marker to, clarify. It's one for sure.
I can't imagine he's going to throw this.
Well, I think he will, yeah. Playing on his backhand there, it's not a whole lot of damage if you're wide enough.
That's right. He has to get around that front bowl, though.
As long as you're around that green. Not a whole lot of danger. Although he's coming up short. I guess he's a little chicken. A little bit scared, but that's okay. When you're lying one, you're allowed to be a little chicken.
All tied up after 6.
Sometimes being a little chicken is the smartest thing you can do.
That's right.
You don't want to give it away.
Oh, there's many a bowler that regrets having thrown their last bowl.
Yep, absolutely.
Playing in an event called the Mansask Challenge that used to exist. I was skipping the fours team, and when I went to bowl my last bowl, we were lying 7.
Oh goodness.
They had only one bowl in play, and it was like 6 feet in front. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, why don't we go for the perfect end? I managed to hit The only bull they had on the green. Tap it in and we scored 1 instead of 7.
Oh goodness.
I learned a lesson from that.
Take a lot of grass?
Hey, yes, yeah, I thought I took plenty of grass, but it was just it was a foolhardy shot to play. It wasn't necessary, and then I played it badly, even so's.
Well, sometimes people like to lick their chops and get that big end, but you learn the hard way most of the time.
We had a relatively inexperienced fours team in the majors a number of years ago, and they were playing the besters. All besters.
Yep.
Dad and 3 boys.
Yep.
And Manitoba was lying 7 all around the jack, and they decided they would try for 8. And I was watching and I said, what the heck are you doing? You've got you've got 7 shots as it is. Why right now they've got all the back bowls. Like, why would you not throw a back bowl?
Yep.
Ryan Bester picked the jack clean into the ditch, and Manitoba went from 7 up to 8 down.
That does not surprise me.
Sometimes greed gets in the way of your judgment.
I heard a saying, I'm not sure where I heard it from, but it was pigs get fat, but hogs get slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty accurate for bulls. It's one thing to want a couple extra points, but when you're not playing smart, you tend to get punished for it.
Well, he managed to rest one right on the plinth board.
I grew up playing against the Besters quite a bit, actually, as they live just 10 minutes down the road from me, so you learn very quickly that you always need to have a back bowl, whether you're playing against Chris, Mike, Ryan, or Bob. All of them know how to throw some weight, so I know that Ryan's known for his drive, but the other Besters know how to play as well, so you can never let your guard down on
No, that's
those
the
guys.
truth. I first saw him when he was skipping the men's fours team as a 15-year-old. And they won the gold.
Yep.
Of course, he's been bowling professionally for years now in Australia.
I don't know how many years he's been down there for. 8, 10, something like that. Might be close to a decade by now.
Yeah, I would suspect.
I would fully expect him to stay down there for many, many years to come, as that green that he looks after is a small paradise, I would say. For
Yeah.
Beach Bowls Club is something special. So Mike's on a little bit of weight here. I guess he's looking to pick Jerome. Coming up inside. So that was the 7th end. So they'll have up and back after this, and it looks like Jerome's lying at least 1.
Yeah, he could be lying too. That wing bull could be second shot.
They're kicking him in real
No,
quick.
just one.
Just the Uno.
8-7 after 7. Kirby's favor.
It blows me away that he's Owen's uncle, because I've grown up playing against Owen Kirby quite a bit.
Oh.
He's I guess 18 or 19-year-old out of Kitchener.
Mm-hmm.
And Owen is just the quietest kid that you'll ever meet. doesn't say boo to anyone, and is just super shy. And then you meet Jerome, and he's this strong, burly man with a deep voice that'll...
But he's soft-spoken. He really is, and he doesn't...
He is.
Yeah,
He is.
he's a...
Owen displayed some fantastic bowling at the juniors. He was on quite the tear there to claim the gold at the under-18s, and then he also competed in the under-25s, and although he didn't medal, he still played fairly well as well, so I'm sure Jerome's probably pretty happy that he introduced him to the sport back in 2011. Mike wanted to know if the jack was on the tee, and it is.
I thought he was calling a timeout.
Yeah, he was making that tee.
That's right.
Is it on the tee? Timeout? That's a pretty good bowl there from Mike.
Yeah, good start.
Almost jack high, so it really does pay to know where the jack is. So he asked if it was on the tee, and that helped him determine his weight.
Well, Jerome's going to need a little tailwind here. It's about 5 feet, 6 feet short.
Get out the sweepers for that one.
I'm sure he would gladly take a tie or better with Jerome. Isn't it interesting that Michael is doing better on a jack length of Jerome's choosing?
That is kind of interesting, actually, that Jerome threw at this length, and Mike seemed to figure things out here pretty quickly, whereas Jerome is struggling to get them there. Jerome's going to chase this one down. He's definitely here on this one. And just kissed it on his way by, I think. Maybe not. No toucher involved, so I guess he just missed it on his way by.
Must have, yeah.
I thought he might have got a little kiss, but I guess not.
Certainly the jack is still on the tee, so...
I think Mike's bowl is right in front of it too. He's been facing side to side, so
Sure.
Mike can't actually see the jack from the mat right now. Does that ever faze you when you can't see the jack from the mat?
No.
No?
No. My goodness.
Well, that's a pretty good bowl there.
Yeah, it is that.
That is a beautiful toucher. Although I'm not sure if that's necessarily the greatest bowl, because now Jerome just has to touch it and it's going to go right back to...
That's correct.
So although Mike is lying 3 right now, big opportunity here for Jerome to count.
Jerome doesn't have to change very much from his last bowl either.
No, almost the same bowl, really. He's not chasing this one down as fast as the last one, but I think it might be close. And bingo.
And he's on the spot.
Not sure if that was enough to...
Yes, the back bowl is shot. No, it isn't either. It's hard to say.
Mike's using his fingers here. I'm not entirely sure. From this angle, I would actually probably favor Mike's, but I mean, there is a shadow, and we are far enough away that I can't say for sure in one way or the other.
I favor Jerome, actually.
It must be within inches anyway, as they're
Yep.
both looking fairly intently at it. The only reason I'm really favoring Mike's here is because he's lying flat, and Jerome is actually still standing up.
Mm-hmm.
But now that both players have looked at it, the marker's up there looking at it as well too.
That was a heck of a shot Jerome just made.
Yep, yes it was. So Mike has the last bowl here, so he can try to capitalize. If he can rest Jerome's bowl, he could lie 2.
I don't know how he would get at Jerome's best bowl.
I think he could draw around
On the forehand?
the non-ditch side, yeah?
Yeah, okay. On the non-ditch, on his
Yeah,
backhand.
over there
Okay.
on his backhand, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is the hand he's playing from the looks of
Yep.
things. I think there's a nice enough draw that'll come around, but I don't think I've seen anybody actually.
I don't think he's here.
No, he's coming up well short on this. Well short on this.
Mm-hmm. One to Michael.
I think it was just because he was lying flat there, rather than...
Tide coming home. No, yeah, Tide going home.
Yep. Tied at 8, so Jerome needs to count for the win, and Mike needs to count to force the tiebreak.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've seen this many times throughout streaming here this week, that they're tied up going home. Makes for an entertaining match anyway.
It certainly has been. It looked like it would probably be fairly one-sided early, but Michael's made a great comeback.
So the mat's up.
Just over 2 meters.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't ask about the jack length.
Yeah, it is short-ish. I think that is probably still legal though. That looks.
Oh yeah. Good chance of it.
It's a pretty good opening bowl there from Mike.
Mm-hmm.
See if Jerome can counter that and draw it
That
out.
looks a little hot.
I think he might need to find Mike to stick around, and he's close. Just through the port. That's not a terrible opening bowl though, to get something back there.
No, that's true.
I know that most people like to have their bowl right on the jack to start things
He's-
off, but there's nothing wrong with a back bowl.
No, sometimes the worst bowl you can throw is something that's locked to the jack.
Yeah, yeah. Jerome is closer, but just
Nope.
inside.
His weight was fine. I mean, he's not a foot through, but just too tight a line.
Now it gets down to crunch time here, though, because you don't want to leave it open or too easy. So I don't know if you'd really want to get anything much closer than that right now, to be honest, because it leaves a nice little hole. That being said, it is a nice bowl for Jerome to rest on if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to chase this down, which makes me think it might be close. He's talking to it. Not sure if that's enough or not.
It looks like it. It looks like it could be shot. Michael is behind the jack and Jerome is just short of the jack, and they're both equidistant. I suspect. She says
Yeah.
Jerome is line shot.
So this is Michael's last bowl. Playing a little aggressively at this, I think. Bowler jack. Coming up inside.
Oh.
They'll shake hands.
He looked for the trail, I guess. Well, it was a good match.
That was it. That's a great match. Jerome Kirby takes it 9-8 for that set, and he wins in straight sets. So that's it for us. Thanks for commentating with me, Bob. Appreciate that.
Thanks very much. See you again.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.